Seriously, it's better than Letterman.
Is that a Ben, Rob and Robbo exclusive?
Yeah.
I think you guys are amazing. I didn't write that
I
question.
want to come on this show all the time because no other show would ever set me up with that much room for danger.
Ben, Rob and Robbo.
Streaming across the globe, Ben Norris, Rob McKnight, and David Robinson.
Ben, Rob and Robbo. News, reviews, entertainment news. It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
Welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Here's Rob McKnight.
Tipsy Thursday must have started a bit early. Hello and welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. It is so fabulous to have your company today as we enjoy the end of our working week. You might have one more day to go, but Thursday is our Friday and we like to celebrate it in style. Ben and Robbo, hello and welcome. Ben, what's your drink of choice today?
Oh, actually, I have made what looks like here a coffee. As you can see, the merch is real. This is the Ben, Rob and Robbo mug. Yes.
Yeah.
What may look like a coffee is in fact Irish. So feel free to use that really lovely accent that you have, Mr. McKnight.
Ooh, hang on. I was going Scottish then. Aye, to be sure. I like a bit of coffee in the morning, I do.
That'd be after the worst accent I've ever heard in my entire life, and I'm good to see that you're consistent.
Yes, never done a good accent in my life, have I, Robbo?
No, but you try, and that's what we love about you. You keep on trying. They're often just a mixture of every accent you can think of. But the good thing is you can actually kind of tell what you're going for, except when it's Scottish and Irish. You don't seem to be able to differentiate those. But apart from that, I think your Russian's quite good. Your American's quite good.
Vlad, what are you doing, Vlad? What are you doing? Get out of here. I want a vodka.
I do take it back, actually. It's been a while since I heard you Russian, and
What are you talking about?
You guys are nuts. But can I just quickly ask you a favor? I need some advice, some clothing advice. I know you're not my girlfriends, but let's face it, you basically are. So some people wrote to me, some friends of mine, and said, on the Ben, Rob and Robbo show, can you stop wearing black? I know you're from Melbourne, but it makes you look like a blob. And I was like, So today I am wearing black because they told me not to.
Good boy.
Well, Ben, considering you are an outlandish character, and I mean that in a lovely way, I'd like to see a bit more colour on you, but the black looks lovely. You don't look like a blob. You look lovely.
Okay, great. I'll take it. Robbo, anything from you? No? Oh, thank you.
I said you look lovely. I said you weren't a blob. I said this. Do not. If you've already put your fishing line out, don't go for another go once you've already had a bite. I gave you a bite before.
All right,
you look good, buddy. You look good.
There's a lot to discuss today, and Casamento will be joining us to talk movies.
Yes.
And surprisingly, there is a lot happening in the world of movies, and we'll hopefully have another fun show. But first, we're going to start with some serious news. And Qantas has reported a $2 billion loss, down from more than $2.8 billion from last year. They've attributed the results to multiple causes within the coronavirus pandemic. Full-year revenue was slashed by 21%. Their value of assets has gone down. They have spent $642 million in one-off costs under the pandemic restructuring program, including redundancy payments to 20,000 employees. Overall, their profits were down 91% from last year. CEO Alan Joyce held a press conference this morning and began by saying this.
Let me start by saying this is clearly not a standard set of results for the Qantas Group. It's been shaped by the extraordinary events that have made for the worst trading conditions in our 100-year history. To put it simply, we're an airline that can't really fly to many places, at least for now. The impact of this is clear. COVID-19 has punched a $4 billion hole in our revenue and a $1.2 billion hole in our underlying profit in what would have been otherwise a very, very strong year.
Geez, Robbo, it's hard for any industry at the moment, but especially the airline industry. What can you do? It's tough.
Well, it's really sad, isn't it? It's really tough. And this is the thing. I know they've got to make tough decisions, and they've had to let go of, as you said, over 20,000 people. I think it's really sad, but I really want to see the flying continue to fly. And when times get better, hopefully they'll obviously have to hire back a lot of those people. My heart goes out to the ones that have lost their job now, but I don't want to see Qantas, essentially fall out of the sky. I think that would be really good. There's something, kind of. It's very patriotic, isn't it? When you see that logo around the world, you just think, oh, that's fantastic. That's Australia. So I think, this is really tough, but they've got to continue making really tough decisions.
Certainly true, Ben, because it's been a very profitable company under Alan Joyce. They took a hard line in the stand. Remember when they stopped all flights for 24 or 48 hours and did that unprecedented move, and they've come back stronger than ever from that, and probably surviving this pandemic better than a lot of airlines, I should imagine.
Well, it's definitely one of the, it's our number one airline. It is recognisable, as Robbo says, around the world. There's nothing like, turning up at the airport when you're coming home and seeing that kangaroo. I don't necessarily know, because it's not sort of above my pay grade, but I think we would have to do what we can to try and save something like Qantas. I mean, come on. I mean, people are wanting to get back into the air, and people will get back into the air. It's just a matter of when. And, what do you do with a business like this, not profiting that 2.8, billion? That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. Look, we'll move on to other topics now and take a look at the latest developments on the coronavirus front from around the country. We'll get to our hot button topics issues in a moment. First, we go to Victoria, where there have been 240 new cases in the past 24 hours. That's slightly up from yesterday's figures. Sadly, 13 new deaths. In good news for Melbournians, though, they are now permitted to drive within a 5-kilometre radius of their home for exercise. This came after Chief Health Officer Brett Sutton addressed these concerns with police yesterday afternoon. It's also been announced that Victoria's moratorium on retail eviction and increases will be extended until the end of the year. These measures to protect tenants were due to expire on September 29th. Let's head over to the rest of the country now. There have been 5 new cases in New South Wales, with 3 of those being transmitted within the community. However, none are connected to the hotel security guard in Brisbane. A youth detention worker has tested positive. She has worked 5 shifts since being infectious. However, is said to have had limited contact with residents. Although a number of children are reportedly showing symptoms, the detention centre is now in lockdown. And a traveller who was tested positive upon arrival in Japan has caused concern and confusion for Queensland and New South Wales, as they had previously visited their sick father. However, the traveller has obeyed quarantine rules and tested negative while there. Okay, moving on, and the PM confirms there is no vaccine deal. For most of yesterday, Scott Morrison was... I'll start again, sorry. For most of yesterday, Prime Minister Scott Morrison was on a media blitz announcing a deal had been reached with the UK pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca. Have a look at this.
We're here today to announce that we've signed a letter of intent with AstraZeneca, which will enable to Australia to access, should it be successful, the vaccine for COVID-19 here in Australia, manufactured here in Australia, distributed free to 25 million Australians in the event that those trials prove successful.
But later that day, shadow opposition leader, and Health Minister Chris Bowen said that simply wasn't true. There was no deal.
How are you coming to the conclusion that we don't have an agreement with AstraZeneca? Like, where are you getting?
Because AstraZeneca says there's no agreement. I mean, AstraZeneca, who the Prime Minister has quoted saying we have a deal with AstraZeneca, says there is no deal. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There either is a deal or there isn't. Scott Morrison says he's got an agreement with AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca says, no, we have no deal. I mean, I quoted you before. They say we have a letter of intent which does not go into any detail about costs or numbers or anything until we have an idea of what the manufacturing capacity is. That's what AstraZeneca says. It's not my words, that's their words. There is no deal.
See, it's all about the letter of intent, which has no binding deals. AstraZeneca has even said they don't know if it's even possible for the vaccine to be produced in Australia, or details that undermine the PM's announcement. His office finally released a statement acknowledging there was no real deal in place, but the letter of intent was the first port of call. Ben, this letter of intent is important, but I'm very confused. There was such a media blitz yesterday with no actual deal in place. We were all talking about this. This was the first topic we talked about yesterday. This is a blatant lie.
Well, I think there was definitely some confusion yesterday on our show as to what the actual fact or what the deal was or whether Scott Morrison had said this or that. But yesterday you did say you heard Scott Morrison himself talking about that on the radio. If this turns out to be, as it has, been shown now, to be a massive blunder, it's not necessarily giving us the faith as Australians that I feel like we have had with Scott Morrison thus far. So, I think he's moving into some murky territory. But I will say, I feel like in these situations, should I say, I feel like because he has done well so far, that we'll give him a get out of jail free card. What are your thoughts?
No, this was pure politics. This was a BS PR announcement. He's basically saddled the horse before the horse has come out. No, that's a terrible metaphor. Sorry. But what he has done is that they've done a letter of intent. He's gone, we can sell this, not expecting anyone to check it. The actual company has come out and said, there's really no deal in place. Yes, there's an intent, but we haven't even discussed costs or anything like that. There is nothing binding here. So all this announcement yesterday that we will have a vaccine if this company comes up with it is not necessarily true. It's not even true that every one of the 25 million people in this country will have access to it if they so choose.
But is there a chance, though, the one thing sorry to interrupt you, but look, is there a chance that from Scott Morrison's perspective, it has moved further along in his mind as to how this is going to take place, and maybe the company is unaware? Maybe the dollar value...
Well, the company may not be aware what's in Scotty's mind.
Yeah, well, look, at the end of the day, I think, I don't want to make this seem, I don't want to play this down any more than it shouldn't be. But, like sometimes in my life, when I think something and I sort of play it out in my head, I sort of move further down the line than it really is. And I think that happens to a lot of people. Could this just be the case?
He's the Prime Minister of the country. He organised a series of media interviews yesterday. Like, this was a triumph for the government that they were sprouting. If there is a backlash, it definitely has to come on him. Don't go announcing things before they're ready to be announced. This was a desperation to have a story of the day in the media, which he got. It was absolutely the story of the day.
That's your opinion, though. That's not necessarily what happened.
But it was actually deflecting from age.
But you're presenting that as a fact. You're like,
it is a fact.
No,
that was the story of the day. Ben, politics works that each party, the opposition, the government, they all plan a story of the day. This is what we're going to aim. This is our intent for the media to pick up today. Scott Morrison yesterday went on a PR offensive to get the COVID vaccine story out as the story of the day. That's not in dispute. That's not an opinion. That's how it works. And the fact is, he made an announcement before he was actually should have made an announcement because nothing is signed.
I've moved beyond. I've moved beyond that. I've tried to make pies and taken them out of the oven a little bit early, and then you just move on. I think what we do need to do.
He's the Prime Minister of the country. He's not a baker.
Hey, look, there's no need to get your knickers in a knot over this.
My knickers are in a knot, and they're giving me a great big bloody wedgie over this. I'll tell you right now.
Isn't this not like going in and looking at a private jet before you've won the Powerball? So I'm going to walk into the private jet area. I'm going to walk into Ferrari dealership.
I do it all the time.
I'm going to do all of that. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to say, I haven't spoken yet, but going to those places before you've got the money to spend it. But you're announcing to everyone, I'm buying a Ferrari. You go into the Ferrari place. I bought the Ferrari. I'm going to buy one of these Ferraris, mate. Yeah. Oh, I don't actually have the money for it yet. Is that a massive detail that I need to be... Yeah, if you're the Prime Minister and you're talking about a vaccine for this deadly disease, then yeah, you kind of do have to make sure you take the pies out at the right time and not earlier. And if you do, you need to, you need to get the consequences of doing that. This was classic Scotty from marketing yesterday, trying to spin a story that was also deflecting away from the aged care issue, which, he still doesn't seem to have a plan for with the COVID place.
Here's a phone. Here's the phone. Oh, it's the victim hotline. Hi, it's for you,
No, Ben,
Robbo.
sorry. He's the Prime Minister of the country. He has to be held accountable. We have been very complimentary about the way he's handled himself during this pandemic. But yesterday was a complete and blatant lie to the electorate. And this, remember what I said to you? This is why people won't get the vaccine when it comes out. This is why people don't trust our politicians when they say stay indoors, because they're full of shit. That is it. We can't
I think
trust
they're
our
still
politicians.
working things out. I think they're still working things out. I think they're still
But
trying
you
to work out.
can't say
what's
that
the
you've
right
got an
thing for
agreement in place when there's no
I think
agreement.
they're trying to work out what's the right thing for the Australian public. I think they really are. I think
The
they
right
have our
thing is
best interest
truth.
at heart. I think that
They don't-
this was a mistake, and I think mistakes.
This
get
was
made
not
by
a mistake.
people.
This
They
was a
lied.
lie.
They don't have any of those things in place.
I
But
think
he
that
said
they
he did.
This is, look, I've stated my case with this, and I honestly think that they have our best interest at heart. I think they overcooked this. I think it came out too early, and I think an apology should be made. And then I think we should move on to the real issue, and we should try and find out whether or not it's going to be mandatory or not mandatory. I think we should move on to the next stage. Like, I think
Mate, can I just say, not only
Yeah.
is this overcooked, it is burnt to a crisp. But here's the thing. I do believe that our politicians should be held accountable if they lie to us. We are in a pandemic where we need to trust what we're hearing. The PM blatantly chose to mislead the electorate yesterday. Now, yes, they can come out and say, "Oh, yes, but we have a document of understanding." It's not the same as an agreement in place. He guaranteed that if this company got this vaccine, Australia would have 25 million vials of the vaccine to give to our people. We now know that's not the case. It was a lie.
Rob,
He is the Prime Minister of the country, and even if he's been misinformed, the buck has to stop with him. Pure and simple.
The massive thing is, he also said that the vaccine was going to be produced in Australia. The company that is potentially going to do that has even said, we don't know if we even have the capacity or, the idea that we could do that here. But that was another thing that he came out and said, we will make it here. Will we? That's not also what we're being told.
I think the wheels. Look, the wheels are in my. I mean, I can't believe this. I'm here defending the bloody Liberals. I mean, I don't know what's happening. Hell froze over, I guess. But I just want to say that we're just trying to do the right thing. I think they are trying to do the right. I think we're just trying to get through something, and I think we have to be a little bit more forgiving. And I think we don't necessarily need to go through all of the fine print every day and pull them all over the
Ben,
coals.
there's a difference between fine print here. I'm sorry, Ben. There is a huge difference between fine print and the blatant lie we copped yesterday. I'm sorry, Ben. It's not just to sweep it under the carpet. And I have given a lot of ground to a lot of politicians because I agree we are in uncharted territory and they're all trying to do their best. Yesterday was nothing but political BS and political spin. It really, really
And you're
was.
shocked because, I mean, this kind of,
Yeah,
I mean,
I am.
political spin and that sort of stuff, the reason why these are phrases is because it is very common, and I get that. But I don't necessarily think we need to do what we have done today and put a massive highlighter through it and tear these people to shreds. I genuinely have it within my bones that I think that these people are trying to do the right thing. I think that they just moved a little bit more forward than they needed to. How much did that guy, by the way, love saying what he was saying, though, just to catch the Prime Minister out? He was loving it. I think he repeated it 3 times just to be able to make
That's
a
his
point.
job.
And yeah, well, I don't think you needed to say, good-o. Like, I don't think you needed to say it 3 times. I think you got your point across the first time.
Oh, Ben. I reckon you'd be really happy under a dictatorship. They tell you what to do, they tell you where to go, they tell you what to wear.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm not a paranoid, deluded psycho. So, like, I'm just not going to sit there and, freak out every single time someone asks me to do something. I mean, I'm not a clone or a robot. I still use my brain. I still think about things, but I'm certainly not going to, every single time that I can, and I know that someone's done the wrong thing, take them to task over it. It's just, maybe that's
Look,
just...
I do love your optimism. I just think on
Thanks.
this issue, he should be taken to task. Let's
I
move
also
on.
don't like pineapple on pizza. Thought I'd just throw that in there at the end. Sorry, Amanda.
All right. Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk has come under fire over her controversial comments regarding the state's hospital. A woman pregnant with twins who needed urgent medical attention had to wait 16 hours before being transported to a Sydney hospital. This is despite only living 30 kilometres south of the Queensland border. Here's some of what the Premier had to say.
People living in New South Wales, they have New South Wales hospitals. In Queensland, we have Queensland hospitals for our people. So if there are specific issues, I'm quite sure that the clinicians will make the best decisions based on the evidence that they have before them. They're not the decisions that we make.
The Premier has said that Queensland's borders will remain locked down to New South Wales and Victoria until both states eliminate community transmission. Oh, Robbo, those twins could have died waiting to get to Sydney, but is the Premier right in being so hardline in protecting her state?
No, I don't think so. I think this was a really poor way to go. You know, this woman rather, you know, had the twins. We know that they were very sick. They needed treatment quickly. If we're starting to become a country where we won't help each other, that's, to me, a really big issue. The other thing is everyone's kind of, I think, enjoying this, you know, patriotism, if you will, for your states. Like, you know, I'm a Queenslander and that's good. And our leaders are being tough and not letting people in and things like that. But when you get a leader who then starts to lose empathy and lose understanding. She was in Ballina. It's 30 kilometres from the bloody border. She was sick with twins. It wasn't like she had tonsillitis. It wasn't like that she had a bad headache. Her twins were sick. I think they're only at 24 weeks. And there was no empathy or care from the Premier. I think
I don't think there was no empathy or care, but the simple fact is that...
There was no empathy or care. She didn't let her in.
Yeah.
Like that, she just said, you got to go down there and go for, you know, press your luck, so to speak, and see if your twins survive. But you can't come here.
Well, not exactly, because we've seen cases where kids and people have been flown to Brisbane when it's been an absolute emergency. So obviously, this was not a code 1. I don't know what codes they use, but let's just say it's the highest priority is code 1, where an emergency situation overrides everything. We've seen that happen because we've done stories on this very program about mothers of the newborn who wasn't able to see her child.
But that was in Lismore. That wasn't in Ballina. Ballina is much closer to Queensland than Lismore. Lismore is much further away. Okay.
But the simple fact is, medical decisions are made based on the emergency situation. Now, this obviously wasn't a category 1. As I said, once again, a nurse, I'm sure, will tell me what the categories are. But this obviously wasn't a category 1. Now, 30 kilometres from the border, we have seen a situation where the New South Wales Premier has refused to move the border down to the river to make the crossing and the border crossings easier on the border towns. They've chosen not to do that. And now the Queensland Premier cops this crap because she's sticking to her hardline border. And isn't that fair enough? We are in a pandemic. Now, these kids didn't die, so they obviously wasn't at that point. We're all saying, well, they could have died. Anyone could die. You go in for surgery, you could have an allergic reaction to the anaesthetic. So anyone in any situation can die, but they make... It's like when you go to hospital. You'll be sitting there sometimes and 3 or 4 people will go ahead of you because they need the attention more than you. Judgments are made all the time. If this had been an absolute emergency, those kids would have been flown to Queensland. But on the basis of what happened, they obviously didn't need to be. And we are in a pandemic with a closed border.
Exactly right. Look, I think at the end of the day, we have to realise that hard lines are drawn at hard times, and I don't think we need to take away the words. I don't think, Robbo, you need to say that she has no empathy. You don't necessarily know. That's a really tough decision, and I think what we have seen since COVID-19 is leaders making really, really tough decisions that can impact other people. But maybe she had more factual information, you know, as to whether or not these kids were in a more dire situation.
Robbo, I'll give you the last statement on this because I had a retort to you, so I'll give you the chance to reply and then we'll move on.
No, I think we can move on. And I mean that in a very lovely way to you, Rob. I don't mean it in a bad way. I just think that if we start going down this slippery slope of deciding, where people who are in need can't go to the places that they think they need to. She was 24 weeks pregnant. There was massive issues. And you were right. Yes, you could die at any point, but she knew she was in trouble. That's the difference. So, yeah, you can say that you can die at any point. Of course we could. I could walk outside and get hit by a bus. But she knew that she was sick. We knew that she was sick. So that makes the difference of, yes, they could have died because they were really sick, and we knew that in advance.
All right. Let's move on. And Google has been accused of bullying Australians in a controversial open letter to users. The tech giant has said users of their platform will have a dramatically worse experience if new laws were passed. Requiring both Google and Facebook to pay for the news content from places like 7 and 9, the Australian Institute's Centre for Responsible Technology published their own open letter in the Sydney Morning Herald accusing Google of bullying and spreading misinformation. They also reiterated their view that it was overdue that the company pays for content, pointing out that while their revenues grow and grow, over 5,000 journalists have lost their jobs, and as well as the closure and axing of many newspapers and radio and television shows. Look, I think for the moment, should Google pay is a very big issue, but I'm interested here on the whole Google bullying because they're using their platform to advertise their point of view. Robbo, doesn't this reek of hypocrisy, considering that we have seen over the years television stations, free-to-air, the Freeview, run a commercial at the same time on every channel to get their messaging across. We see the Daily Telegraph and other papers do full-page, front-page editorials, and now they're all crying foul that Google is using its platform to get across its message. Isn't this hypocritical?
Yeah, I think it's saying, I kind of agree with you, Rob. I think saying bullying kind of almost dilutes their argument a little bit, because they're coming out attacking as if they're the lesser than Google. They should come out and say, look, no, we are representing a lot of different people, a lot of different stakeholders, and we can take you on. I think that saying that they're bullying is a bit rough. However, the open letter from Google, if you've had a chance to read it, go and do it. It's absolutely bloody everywhere. It's very light on detail, and it's very heavy, I think, on scaremongering. You know, your data might be breached, and the YouTube and search will dramatically be reduced and will be worse. And so there's a lot of scaremongering and a lot of actually from Google saying, just trust us here, you know, this is what could happen, but no actual explanation of why they think it shouldn't happen. And I think that's where you start to get into where people might think, don't tell us this shit. Like, just tell us exactly why you think that this won't work for you, and why it's not going to be good for the local media sector, and why you shouldn't pay for content when we've had this argument for years and years and years. I don't like the open letter from Google.
You don't like it? All right, Ben, what do you think?
Well, I think the bullying is repetitive, targeted, and malicious. I think all three of those things need to align before we can use the word bullying. I think that, you know, bullying really is used, or it's overused, I would say. And I think we dilute that word when we start using it in arguments like this. And it's clear to me that's all they were trying to do, was win the argument by putting that stamp on it. And I thought that it didn't seem to add up, if you ask me.
Yeah, but I've got to say... That, sorry? Did I do it like more?
No, I think it was Robbo. Robbo was like as in I might have just made... like a cheese and ham jaffle or something, and you were like,
"What? No,
I'll eat that."
I gotta say, Robert, I'm a bit surprised by your stance, because I've seen newspapers, radio, and commercial TV stations use their platform to spruik their views. I just don't see a difference here.
I didn't say there was a difference, Rob. I said that what they were doing was light on actual, you know, solutions and what the problem was, and heavy on scaremongering, talking about your data might be breached, that, you know, search and YouTube might be really bad. Well, if you don't agree, that's what I said before, Rob. If you don't agree with what this potential legislation will do, then explain to us in your open letter. Don't just scaremonger. That letter was scaremongering, and it was light on detail as to why it was bad and heavy on scaring everyone. That's the difference.
So I'm sure everyone wants to read a 24-page document on it. You know, like,
it wasn't a 24-page document.
No,
it was a one-page document.
No thanks.
That's my point. That they've made it a simple, digestible, get people interested in the issue, and then you can Google about it and find out some information. All right.
You guys are being so serious today.
If you're using your platform, then do it properly. Do it properly. The same way that free-to-air did. In all of those ads that you're talking about, they explained the issue and they explained the solution. They explained the problem and explained the solution. All Google did was, we don't like this, and this will be bad for you, and your data will be stolen. And they were hitting on things that people really care about, going, your data is stolen? Like, okay, so what's your solution then? Because all it looks like now is a massive tech company who has made $4 billion off Australia in revenue in the past year, going, well, we don't want to have to pay for it.
Well, the whole pay thing is
why.
a whole different issue, and maybe we'll talk about that next week, and maybe we'll bring some people in to explain it to us. No, the issue here was about the marketing of their point of view, and people accusing them of saying that you're using your platform for your own good, when I was saying all the networks, newspapers have done exactly the same thing. They just don't like it when the shoe's on the other foot. Let's move on. And while there's no doubt it's frustrating when someone parks across your driveway, but this father of 7 in southeast England took the matter into his own hands. When a neighbour's car had blocked his driveway for a day and a half, he decided to wrap it in cellophane. The father claims they get 2 or 3 people per week parking over his family's driveway, despite signs instructing people not to do it. The owner of the car soon came out, apologised, and found the prank pretty funny. Ben, is this petty or fair enough?
Oh, I think it's petty. But, you know, look, I think obviously we all lose our minds sometimes and things get a little bit out of hand. I mean, I must admit one day I was here and I was trying to record the Ben, Rob and Robbo show, and the guy next door had bought a leaf blower, so he thought he'd play with his leaf blower all day. And then I said to my partner, while we had a small break, I was like, Ben, can you go downstairs and tell that bloody leaf blower to shut up because I'm filming the Ben and Rob and Robbo show? And then Ben was like, I'm not doing that. So anyway, the show finished, I run downstairs and I climb up onto the fence where I can look down at this guy, and I was like, hey! And it was at that point where I was about to lose my mind where I realized how stupid I was going to sound. And I think sometimes...
Can I just hear what your butch voice would have sounded like, Ben? What was your butch like? Were you like about to tell the bastard? Do it for me. Do it.
Come on and wake up to yourself, you flaming idiot!
Even though he's doing it in the middle of the day. That's what I love. He's actually doing it at a time when it's absolutely fine to do such a thing.
I thought that was great, Ben. Well done.
To be fair as well, I said to this bloke, I went to speak to him, and I realized it was a woman. So, like, I also didn't realize. And so, the whole thing was a bit of a mess. But the best thing about this whole thing was right in the middle of my insanity while I'm balanced on this fence and yelling at this person and then being nice to them, I turn around and look in the window and there's my partner watching me going, oh my God, you bloody idiot. He was rolling his eyes.
I've got to say, Ben, I really like this. I hate people who think they can do whatever they want and park in front of someone's driveway. I love that this person, had their car wrapped because piss off. Like, I've got to get my car in there. I've got to get my car out. And you're so arrogant to think that you can do that. I don't think so. Not on my watch. But yeah.
Well,
I couldn't agree more.
There's nothing better than when people... Yeah, there's nothing better, though, than when people lose their mind over, stuff like this. You've got to get it on video.
Yeah, that's true. But I love it. You've got to draw a line in the sand. This is not acceptable behaviour. You got to be taught a lesson. All right. Well, we in Australia are world renowned for our quirky catchphrases and dangerous animals, but only we can truly understand our customs and way of life. BuzzFeed has put together a list of 40 habits that are essential to Australian culture. They include telling your mate, yeah, good chat, after they ignore you, referring to Sauvignon Blanc as Savvy Bee, posting photos of massive stone hails that land near your house, and trying to defend the weather by saying, it's not the heat that does it, it's the humidity. Robbo, what are your favourite Aussie slangs?
I don't. Oh, no, so you really put me on the spot here. But that article was really like, it also just kind of told us things like, why do we just put $20 in the petrol? Like, I'll just put $20 in there, mate. That kind of thing. I loved this because it's that kind of analysis of exactly what we all do, and it makes no real sense, but it's what makes us Australian. Rob?
It really is. Ben, what do you love that Australians say?
Oh, I think it's bloody. I think it's so funny. And you know what? You take that overseas and you watch people's reaction to it because they get so freaked out. But we use bloody way too much. Oh, you bloody idiot. Oh, this person's a bloody dill. And you're like, it's so weird because nowhere else in the world do they seem to be as bloody as we are.
Oh, so you take a drink as you have a swig. As you have a swig.
I was just looking at one other thing that was on here. Using empty bottles of alcohol as decoration in your home. We've all, whether it was younger or not, we've all been guilty of keeping a bit of a bottle around, which I think is fantastic.
I still got this bottle lying around.
See that?
No surprises,
fancy,
mate. No surprises.
Devon and tomato sauce, a wonderful fixture of any lunchbox, I think is fantastic. Fancy seeing you here. These are all great. If you get the chance, you've got to check out this article from BuzzFeed. It is amazing.
There's not enough room to swing a cat around is one of my favourites as well.
Ah, yes, and love that one. Yep.
I can honestly tell you there is actually not enough room in this studio, aka third bedroom, to swing a cat around.
All right, boys. Thank you very much. In a moment, we're going to be talking to our dear friend Joe Casamento. But first, it's time for our Random Life Shot of the Day.
It's the Random Life Shot of the Day. Where are you going today? You'll never know where you'll end up with the Random Life Shot of the Day.
And today we're taking you to Japan, where it's a mostly sunny day with a high of 37 degrees. Oh, talk about the humidity. It's not just the heat that does it, it's the humidity.
Even the sushi's
So
being cooked.
So true.
It is true. Let's take a look at some feedback coming through to the good old Ben, Rob and Robbo show. And we've got Andrew saying, I've got my glass of wine. Bring on Tipsy Thursday. Oh, there we go. Comes up eventually.
There you go.
Patrick says,
Hey, Andrew.
Qantas will be back. We'll get through this eventually. Yes, I agree with that. Philip says, oh my God, Ben, you've done so well this week with these cranky men. Excuse me, Philip, what do you mean we've been cranky?
Who is Philip and who spells their name with an F? Sorry, Philip, you're out.
Philip with an F.
It's PH. Nah, get out, mate. And thanks, Amanda, for laughing. Thanks, Amanda.
All I can
thought it
think
was a
now
laugh
is it's
track, to
like
be
Rick
honest
with
with
a
you.
silent P. Leonardo says...
Oh, you guys, do you know what? This is just a perfect example, though, of you two. There's something there that's a little bit negative towards the two of you, and that's how you react to it. We read our comments day after day. Oh, Rob, that's a lovely tie you're wearing. Oh, Robbo, what a cloth. So lovely.
On one episode.
What a load of bullshit. Just anyway, move on. Fight.
Yeah,
Go
Leonardo
Puglisi.
says, fight. Malcolm tells me the quote is, he says there has to be something else happening behind the scenes with this vaccine announcement. No, I think they just took an opportunity and got caught out. Since when have politicians been
I agree,
honest and
Malcolm.
taken responsibility? Jared says PM telling a blatant lie is definitely a huge concern. This is the one. Malcolm says, Rob, the horses bolted, time to close the gate and move on. Oh, okay. I think he was telling me that we should whine. I think people did get concerned we did that topic for too long. Yes, Robbo,
That was
yes. I don't know
Thank you,
what's
Tim.
happening there.
But no, Tim knows. Tim's aware.
Elimination or suppressing, we are all one country and should all be on the same
Thank
page.
you, Jamie.
Mary
thank you.
says, "Oh, bitey Ben today. Love it. Meow."
We do our own sound effects on this show.
And Jamie says, Tipsy Thursday should begin with a shot of tequila from Ben, Rob, and Robert. Could you imagine?
Yeah, fine.
Oh my
done.
God.
We'll do it.
We'll do it.
What do you mean? Can I imagine? Half the time I turn up on this show and I swear you guys have been, into the bloody tequila.
You think we have? Because I think there's an often thought that perhaps Benny Boy has been hitting the sauce a little bit before our show. Is that no? No.
No, that is
Oh, it
so
wasn't
not
my
true.
idea. Not my words.
So not true.
Not my words.
No, he's
Not
still
my
drunk
words.
from the night before, Robbo.
The shade is real. Look, let's move on because we've got Joe Casamento and she is a hottie, hot.
She is. It is time to talk movies and pop culture with our dear friend Joe Casamento. Joe, save us from this. Bring the niceness to the table. Hello, Joe.
Oh, no, fellas, how are we? It is hot here. I found my one bit of sun. So
She's got nice hair, but she's got the Dalek voice.
You've got the Dalek
beautiful
voice,
hair.
Joe.
Oh, no.
It sounded like Star Wars. We should get subtitles.
I tell you what we'll do. We'll do a hit of entertainment. You log back on, Joe, and we'll come back to you after entertainment. Wow. She'll sort that out. Yeah, we had to take her off.
She starts yelling to the crew. They can't hear me.
Okay.
Yes, Amanda was queuing up entertainment. Look, Ben, it is time for a hit of entertainment.
I don't have entertainment ready myself, so I think you're gonna have to go to something else. You can't just say let's do entertainment out of nowhere.
Yeah, I can. We have nothing else, Ben. Well, it's just us. Let's see if Joe's working again. Benny boy.
Working, I need that.
How's that working, Joe?
Is that any better?
No, it's not. Ben, I'll help you with entertainment because there's bad news for the Tiger King Park. Here's what I'll tell you. The zoo featured in the Tiger King documentary announced late Tuesday, and it closed to the public after the federal animal exhibition license was suspended. This
Good.
is huge, Ben. The US Department of Agriculture said it suspended the exhibitor license on Monday. Lowe and the park's previous owner, Joe Exotic, were among the characters in the Netflix streaming phenomenon Tiger King: Murder, Mayhem and Madness. A post to the park's Facebook page announced that public access to the privately owned zoo is closed, effective immediately. Robbo, the Tiger King Zoo is closed. This is huge.
This is huge, but if you've seen the documentary, a fantastic documentary, it's probably best for everyone involved, including the animals. But I thought that, Rob, and forgive me, question without notice, I thought that Carol Baskin actually got, ownership of that zoo. That's the last thing I heard. Remember, that was a massive story?
That was certainly in play because Joe Exotic owed her money, but there it still may be part of ongoing court cases. But interestingly, she was offered $1 million, reports say, to do. She was asked to do a follow-up series to the Tiger King, a part 2, and it's reported that she wanted $1 million. She has tried. She has come out and said, no, that is absolutely not true, and that she wouldn't do it because she didn't get paid last time, and basically she would have nothing to do with it. So it'll be interesting to see if money changes her opinion.
You've got to admit, though, that she probably has a bit of chutzpah. What is that the right thing I'm saying? Because when you allegedly murder your husband and feed them to tigers, that you've certainly got to be quite brave and quite strong. So I could imagine that she probably would ask for $1 million if you're capable of allegedly doing other alleged things with alleged bodies and alleged tigers and alleged events. I think we got rid of the legal any issues there, right, Rob? If you say allegedly enough, it's okay.
Yeah, I think. Who knows? Carol Baskin goes over after everyone, allegedly. So, we're not making any aspersions. We're just reporting on what Joe Exotic claimed in the Tiger King documentary. Hey, Ben, have you seen what's going on with Bluey lately?
Oh.
Yeah, well, I did actually see this, and can I just say this one really upsets me because I feel like everything's being cancelled, and now Bluey's under attack. Look, it's turned out that the ABC have had to pull 2 of their episodes after receiving a racism complaint. In these 2 episodes called Teasing and Flat Pack, a phrase in which some viewers found offensive. You'll never guess what it is. It's ooga booga. And I must admit, I had to go and actually do a lot of research before I found out that it's actually a derogatory and problematic term, I would say, for Indigenous Australians. However, ABC spokesperson has come out saying that they were unaware of the term, they didn't know it was derogatory, and that nonetheless, they're still going to pull those 2 episodes. So, old Bluey, he's the next one being cancelled. What do you think, guys? Do you think that should have been pulled from the network?
No, the reason I'm going to say this is because they did not use it in the derogatory meaning. I understand that some people can find it derogatory. I had to look it up as well, which isn't to say that other people who find this offensive would find it offensive. I'm not the yardstick on that, but I just think Bluey is the most easy, sensitive, loved thing. Of course, they would never mean it any badly. It wasn't used badly in that. It's certainly a far cry from the N-word. I don't know. Is this what we're coming to, Rob?
It does seem to be what we're coming to, Robbo, but, look, there's an easy solution to this. They just have to redub the offensive words and put the episode back on. Look, it's not going to be that hard to fix. The episodes aren't lost forever.
Sure.
I'm just like you. I had no idea. Like I've said ooga booga to the kids or, something like that. I had no idea that it was a racist term.
It's almost like you're giving the fuel back to that term. Yeah, it's almost like you're giving the fuel back to that term because the majority of people do not associate it with something being negative. It's just not in the common vernacular in the way that, what the Macquarie Dictionary says it is. It's almost like, well, you're fueling it back into the common vernacular, which is not what we want to do. If we can keep it as simple as Bluey would make it. And Bluey's a national hero. Bluey for Prime Minister.
Absolutely. Hey, Ben, what's the latest goss on those former MasterChef judges who are set to light up our plates on Plate of Origin?
Well, Matt Preston, tell you what, he has come out because obviously he's promoting the new show that he's on, Plate of Origin. And a lot of people were thinking that those three judges would never be seen together again after what happened with George Columbaris. But as it turns out, Matt Preston will be making a TV series which will feature him going to India. Now, there could be a reunion in the works because he hasn't ruled out the possibility of Columbaris being a part of that. As we were aware, George Columbaris was under scrutiny for underpaying his staff, and so he definitely has had a big dark cloud form over the top of him there. So anyway, I think it's interesting and especially good, seeing as that they're mates, that he hasn't, put an end to that friendship. Certainly not off the kitchen table.
No, I've got to say, I've seen the first episode of Plate of Origin, and I really like it. And I tell you what, the chemistry between... Yeah, I really do like it. The chemistry between Matt, Gary, and Manu is just phenomenal. Like, it's so easy. And I tell you what, the new MasterChef judges are great. They've done a fantastic job. But you just see the level of comfortability these old judges have, and even changing the mixture of George going. There is such a friendship and so many comedic moments in this format with the judges. They're actually taking the piss out of each other a bit, and it's actually really fun. But I got a bit of a present today. So, and this has not influenced my decision. I got this from Channel 7 today. Arrived on my doorstep. Oh. And what it is, it's food made by the judges of Plate of Origin. So what you do is you take the instructions and you actually...
Robbo, are you standing for this? I don't stand for this.
No, I'm just watching the practical graphics that we're now doing on the show where... Dickie D's hand comes in there and holds up the... now, Rob, just tell me again, what was the name of the show? You haven't mentioned the name of the show yet.
Plate of Origin.
Poo.
Oh, right.
It's called Poo.
But,
P-double-O.
Seriously, right? Matt, Gary, and Manu have made all these bits, and you've got instructions how to put it all together, how to heat it up, and have 3 meals. And one of them is meringues that you don't put in the fridge. This box was in the fridge. And it's just amazing. We can't wait to have this tonight. So thank you, Channel 7.
Now, where is that? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I keep missing. Is it Ready City Cook? Is it what's the name of the show? We got a graphic of it now. If we can bring up the graphic.
Plate of Origin. Plate of Origin.
It starts Sunday, August 30 at 7 p.m. on Channel 7.
Channel 7.
Rob McKnight, can I just quickly just say, look, I know I'm in the middle of entertainment. You're going to get really cross with me, but didn't yesterday we call you out for the Daily Mail Australia, and we were like, they print stories of you, so of course you think they're full of great journalists. And now today, to back it up, you're like, I've seen the first episode of Plate of Origin. It's amazing. And by the way, they sent me this. Not a good argument.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Ben. I am always honest about my opinions, and you should know that about me now.
Please,
if I didn't,
not fight again.
We're not fighting. We're not fighting. I will state my opinion.
Pull at the string, Robbo. Pull at the string.
Hang on a second.
Watch it all come crumbling down.
I will state my opinion. I said I liked Plate of Origin before I got a goodie bag. So I don't know if I got the goodie bag because I said nice things. I do like the show. I think it's actually going to do very well. But if I thought it was bad, I would say that. And you know me well enough, Benjamin Norris, to know that's true.
Yeah, look,
no.
I'm going to take your word for it. No, look, I'm going to take your word for it because I know that you're a massive bitch, and if you wanted to say something nasty, you would. So
correct. That's right.
There you go.
Hey,
Should we move on?
News last week that shooting resumed for films like Jurassic World Domination, and now another. What can you tell us?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, The Batman, which is said to be a much grittier version of the Batman story, think more The Dark Knight Origins, has now going back into filming. There's only 3 months left of production for this particular movie that's being made with Robert Pattinson. It's expected to wrap filming on the 20th of 2020, I would say. Crew members have been constructing sets for the film this month, which has spurred rumours that the filming could resume shortly. Of course, given the fast-changing nature of this pandemic, those plans could be upended. We're not necessarily sure, but one thing is certain. We are going to see some footage from the new film. They only did 7 weeks of production, but we are guaranteed at one of those Comic Cons to get to see a very first trailer. So that will be out in the next couple of days.
Oh, fantastic. What's your TikTok of the day, Ben?
Okay, so just really quickly, I have a friend of mine who has now in ISO lost his mind, and he is now obsessed with TikTok. And this is one of his TikTok videos. I wanted to get your opinion. Is he a TikTok sensation in the making? Roll clip.
I'll be your dream, I'll be your wish, I'll be your fantasy. I'll be your hope, I'll be your love, be everything that you need. I love you more with every breath, truly, madly, deeply do. I will be strong, I will be faithful, cause I'm counting on a new beginning, a reason for living, a deeper meaning. I wanna stand with you on a mountain. I wanna bathe with you in the sea. I wanna lay like this forever until the sky falls down on me.
Well, China's
True
got
bloody
all his
legend.
information.
What did you say?
I said China's got all his information. Because
I
TikTok,
don't
you know
get
how
it.
it's owned by... Oh, it's a whole thing, Ben. It's TikTok's owned by China. And,
Yeah, I tried to fake-
is a
I
Chinese
understand.
company.
ByteDance.
And Donald Trump has
Yeah.
accused China of using TikTok to get all this information about people and their security issue. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, no, but
it's
let's not
probably
talk
not
about that.
funny if
That's
you have to
boring.
explain it.
No, it's really not. Send me a little transcript next time you're going to come up with something that I don't understand. But what I was going to ask you guys
I'll
is...
have to transcribe the whole show.
You actually do most days. The truth be told, I look behind the scenes. You do actually have to tell me a lot before this show starts. So thank you for keeping me up to speed. But you're taking me away from what I'm doing. What about my mate? Do you reckon that he's a TikTok sensation?
Oh, yes,
Well,
absolutely.
he's wonderful.
He's full of himself. There's so many of him.
Man of the people.
Do you know who he? Do either of you know who he is?
No.
No.
He's Alana McLean's fiance. So
Oh,
Alana
how did
McLean,
we
who I
not
do
know
the breakfast show.
that? Robbo, how did we not know that he's Alana McLean who works on
Oh, man.
Jumpstart with Ben in Melbourne? How did we not know that was her fiance?
It's look, slap on the hand for us. They are the A-list couple. Slap on the hand of us. We're not across everything.
Thank you. Thank you. That's fine.
But he was very good, though. I really like him.
Yeah.
I appreciate
And
the love.
Alana, we all really like him. Alana, we all
Now,
like you too.
Joe is still trying to sort out her audio issues, but I know that she wants to talk about Pinocchio because Netflix has revealed who's signed on for Guillermo del Toro's remake of Pinocchio. And it's our very own Kate Blanchett and Tilda Swinton. Now, you'll remember the classic film, right? Well, this is going to be nothing like that. Kate will lead an all-star cast lineup, which will also include Ewan McGregor, who will voice Jiminy Cricket in the stop-motion musical, which has continued uninterrupted amid the pandemic. Other big names include Christopher Waltz. Newcomer Gregory Mann is set to play Pinocchio in The Passion Project, which is set to tell a darker story than the Disney classic. The director is said to be writing and directing the new movie. The music is even being scored by Alexandre Desplat. I wish Joe was here. I'm trying to do my Joe, and with my...
trying to do your what? You're trying to do
my Joe
drag. You need a
Casamento.
wig. You need a wig, mate. Like just to get on board. A weave. There you go.
I don't know.
Oh god. That's
Now,
terrible.
the guy who did the
What
music...
are they lotto tickets that you've got there, Rob McKnight? What are they?
They're the signs I use for you guys. But I'm going to see.
Shut
I'm going to
up,
take
Ben.
one more chance to bring Joe in and see if she can tell us this
Okay.
guy's name because I'm reading her script. Hey, Joe, is it working? Oh no, Joe, it's not working.
Do you know what's funny? I was talking to Joe the other day on the phone, and I just want to quickly say something.
That's
and
how
that
she
is
sounds
that
all the time?
Joe puts so much time and energy into this segment. She watches the films. She stays up late. Look at her.
She does.
She is amazing. And then every week, Rob, I swear to God, you do it as a prank, and you just like hold down the audio button so she sounds like something from Star Wars.
No, I love Joe, and I love this segment, which is why I gave it so much time today. And aren't I regretting
20
that?
minutes.
But
you
but
can
I wanted to say the guy.
Have you got a best of montage?
Hang on. The guy. This is important because Joe's given me this info. The guy who did the music, who is doing the music on Pinocchio, also did Tim Burton's Corpse Bride. So you kind of can get the feel of where it's going. It's definitely not going to look and feel like the film we remember. So and I'll tell you what, Pinocchio isn't the only film getting a do-over. Hollywood really isn't known for its originality, and now more than ever they seem to be playing it safe because as we say, they barely had an original thought in their life, but it seems to be worse than with fewer projects getting the magical green light. We learned last week Zac Efron has signed on for the role in Disney's remake of Three Men and a Baby. You know, of course, the original starred Magnum P.I., Tom Selleck, Steve Guttenberg, and Ted Danson from Cheers. Great film. And if you want to know one thing about that film, Google Three Men and a Baby and the Ghost, because there are claims a ghost was caught on film in that movie.
No,
What?
don't be ridiculous.
Google it.
I'm
not.
Google,
It's
I'm doing it.
And there's photographic proof of it that a ghost appears in the film. But now...
Okay, do you want to just click on... Can I just quickly debust this one? Because what it was, and Ted Danson's even come out and said this, was the character that he was playing had a cardboard cutout of of meant to be what he looked like in a film. I think he was playing an actor within the movie, whatever. And they'd made a cardboard cutout of him, and that was in the background. And they'd lodged it between these two curtains. So that whole thing about there being a ghost
It's not a cardboard cutout. No way.
That's a ghost.
It's a cardboard cutout. It's not a ghost.
That's
You two are
basically
such
Patrick
wrong.
Swayze. That's what that is.
Anyway, moving on. Will Smith and Kevin Hart are set to team up for a remake of the 80s movie Planes, Trains and Automobiles. Can you believe this?
Oh, I'm excited for that.
You remember that original Road Trip movie? It starred Steve Martin and John Candy, of course, as mismatched travelling partners. Was directed by John Hughes. And it hasn't been revealed whether these two will play the same characters, but why? But talk about everything old is new again. Smith is also working on a reboot of the iconic 90s sitcom, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of a take on that. I'm just going to say, I don't know if we've got any footage of what inspired this, but it's kind of a look behind the scenes at the real story that it inspired it. So it's not a direct reboot. It's not like we're going to see Will Smith's son taking on the iconic character. It is going to be something a little bit more meatier. So, look, I think that's a little bit more interesting than what the headlines have been giving it.
Oh, that's quite interesting, Ben. I am fascinated. Guys, as we wrap up the show, and really sad we couldn't get Joe, I'm sorry about that, but what have you guys been watching at the moment? Robbo.
I'm watching a lot of The Good Doctor. I love The Good Doctor. I've started doing it, watching it from the first season. It's on Amazon Prime. We love Amazon Prime. For more information, go to primevideo.com.au. We just love them. We think they're amazing. But I've been watching a lot of The Good Doctor.
I just saw the super that got updated. Amanda updated the super.
Oh, the Choc Top Chats with Rob McKnight.
Sorry,
lovely.
Just if I could get back to Amazon Prime, primevideo.com.au, a fantastic streaming service. We love them. I've been watching some Blue Heelers on that, some great Australian drama. I'm also watching a lot of Curb Your Enthusiasm on that other one, but it's not as good as Amazon Prime.
Ben, what have you been watching?
I'm really sad, and to be honest with you, this is really pathetic, but I'm watching The Golden Girls for the 100th time, and every night I go to bed, pump out at least 2 episodes, and can I just say, how bizarre is it that show was made sort of late 80s, early 90s, and the topics that they covered on that show were worlds ahead of,
way ahead.
Even the content that you see on television today, and what a fantastic idea to tell a story of 3 women of that age. You wouldn't even see that anymore. No one would greenlight it.
100%.
However, I've got a little bit of inside information, and apparently Jennifer Aniston has used her money to buy the rights to the Golden Girls, and she wants to do a Golden Girls once the cast of the girls of Friends are a little bit older. So you might get to see Courtney Cox and Lisa Kudrow and Jennifer Aniston take on those roles. And maybe Chandler can be Ma. I don't know. Anyway,
I do love that. The other thing I've been watching, I've always heard about this show called Skins, and I've started watching that.
Oh, it's great.
Is that good?
Stan. It's really good. Really good.
I wanted to watch that.
You were talking about Amazon Prime, Robbo. I have had a preview copy of the second series of The Boys. It's blowing my mind. I'm desperate to watch it. I just haven't had time to go through the whole series. But I think
Rob,
that starts
what was that on though?
That was on
What was that on?
Amazon
Just-
Prime Video.
And how can we find out more information?
Go to
Primevideo.com.au.
primevideo.com.au. Rob. All
Have
right.
you got a job with them or
I
something?
don't know.
What's going
But
on?
look,
I don't understand.
you know
They
what?
slipped
You know
some
what's
cash.
crazy? We were filling time, and just like us, it's just hit 2 o'clock, and we're over. And so Tick are now like, why were you feeling so long? Because once we start talking, we can't stop. We'll see you on Monday
can't
for
stop.
another big week of the show.
It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo